All right, so you're getting ready for a job interview, and I bet you've got like a ton of prep materials, right?
Sure.
From that amazing book on interview strategies to like articles on company culture.
Yeah.
And honestly, interviews can be kind of nerve-wracking.
Oh, yeah.
You're not alone, though. Nearly half the job seekers feel the same way. But that's where this deep dive comes in.
Right.
Think of us as your secret weapon, distilling like the best tips from all those sources
hmm
to help you totally crush it.
What's so fascinating is that interviews are really like a performance. You're on stage showcasing your skills and your experience,
Yeah.
but like any good performance, it takes practice and preparation.
Okay, speaking of practice, one of the sources mentioned something that blew my mind.
Okay.
Smiling, even during phone interviews.
What?
It sounds crazy,
Yeah.
right? But apparently it actually affects how you sound.
It's about projecting that positive energy even through the phone lines. Think of your voice as like an instrument. And
Ah,
just like a musician fine-tunes their instrument, we can fine-tune our voices to convey confidence and enthusiasm.
so you're saying my voice is my secret weapon.
Exactly.
I like it.
Yeah.
And the book also had a great tip about mock interviews, like practicing with a friend for those tricky phone, video, or even panel interviews.
What's key here is the power of rehearsal. Think of athletes training for a big game.
Mm-hmm.
They don't just show up on game day and hope for the best, right? They practice, they strategize, they get comfortable with the plays, and we can do the same thing for interviews.
Okay, that makes total sense. But what about those curveball questions that kind of throw you off? You can't rehearse for everything, right?
That's where frameworks come in handy. The source material, specifically the interview prep book you shared, highlights the STAR method.
Okay.
It's a way to structure your answers even for those unexpected questions. It stands for situation, task, action, and result. It's about having that mental roadmap to organize your thoughts and present them clearly and concisely.
So instead of panicking when I get a tough question, I can use the STAR method to create like a structured, compelling answer on the fly. It's like having a secret formula for interview success.
Exactly. It's about being prepared not just with content, but with a process for delivering that content effectively.
Speaking of effective delivery, the video interview tips were a game changer.
Right.
That one about looking at the camera, not the screen.
Right.
It felt so awkward at first, but I get it now.
It might feel strange, but think about it this way. When you look directly at the camera, you're simulating eye contact with the interviewer, creating a sense of connection even through the screen.
It's like I'm right there in the room with them, even though I'm miles away.
Yeah. Okay, let's tackle panel interviews. Multiple interviewers at once. That's next level intimidating.
Panel interviews can feel overwhelming, but one effective strategy is to view the panel as a team you need to win over.
Okay.
Each member has their own expertise and perspective. Make eye contact with each person, address them individually when appropriate, and try to tailor your answers to their specific areas of interest.
So it's like I'm giving a presentation, but my audience is a panel of experts, each with their own unique viewpoint. I need to connect with them individually while keeping the overall message cohesive. Precisely. It's about being adaptable and responsive to the dynamics of the panel.
This is all gold. But let's not forget about preparing like thoughtful questions to ask the interviewer. I always struggle with that part.
Asking insightful questions is not just about showing you're curious. It's also an opportunity to gather information and assess whether the company is the right fit for you.
So it's like I'm interviewing them too, making sure their values and work environment align with mine.
Exactly. And speaking of values, your sources had some great points about demonstrating cultural fit. This is where things get really interesting because it goes beyond skills and experience. It's about showing you align with the company's core values and work style.
Okay, let's unpack this idea of cultural fit. What are some specific things I should be looking for when researching a company's culture?
First, consider work style. Some companies thrive on collaboration, while others emphasize individual contributions. Then delve into their values. Do they prioritize social responsibility, work-life balance, innovation? Research their website, their social media, and even employee reviews on sites like Glassdoor.
So I need to be like a detective, piecing together clues about their culture. And then I can like weave those insights into my answers
Yeah.
to show them a perfect match.
Precisely. And remember, the interview prep book highlighted another crucial element, storytelling.
Storytelling. I'm all ears.
Think of your interview as an opportunity to tell your professional story in a way that's both compelling and relevant to the company's needs.
Okay. So I'm not just listing off bullet points from my resume.
Yeah.
I'm crafting a narrative that highlights my key strengths and experiences and connects them to the company's values and goals.
Exactly. And that brings us to the post-interview follow-up, which, as your sources emphasize, is absolutely crucial. A well-written thank you note can reinforce your interest and even highlight key points from the interview.
So it's like the final act of my interview performance, leaving a lasting positive impression.
Think of it as a way to express gratitude and reiterate your enthusiasm for the opportunity.
Yeah.
It's a great way to stay top of mind, reinforce your commitment.
And while we're talking about making a good impression, let's not forget about those nonverbal cues.
Even during a phone interview, I was surprised to see that posture can actually affect how you sound.
It might seem counterintuitive, but your physical state actually does influence your vocal tone.
Okay.
Sitting up straight, even smiling while you talk, can make you sound more confident and engaged.
So even though they can't see me, my body language is still like communicating.
Hmm.
It's like sending those subliminal messages of confidence right through the phone lines.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And of course, for video interviews, body language becomes even more crucial.
The source material, especially that article on video interview tips, really emphasize like the importance of eye contact with the camera.
Right.
It feels so weird at first.
It does take some practice, but remember, looking directly at the camera is how you simulate eye contact with the interviewer
Okay.
in a video setting.
Yeah.
It creates that sense of connection and shows you're present and engaged.
It's like I'm speaking directly to them, even though there's a screen between us.
Right.
And I love the tip about using hand gestures naturally. I tend to get a little stiff on camera. It's about finding a balance. You want to be expressive, but not distracting.
Okay.
Think of it as having a conversation with a friend. You'd naturally use hand gestures to emphasize your points.
Uh-huh.
Do the same on camera.
Okay, so video interviews are all about mastering that virtual connection.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about a topic that makes my palms sweat just thinking about it. Salary expectations.
Okay.
How do you approach that conversation without selling yourself short or scaring them off?
The key to discussing salary is preparation.
Okay.
Research salary ranges for similar roles in your industry and location using sites like Glassdoor or Salary.com. Consider your own experience and qualifications when determining what's fair.
So it's like I'm doing my due diligence,
Yeah.
gathering data points to support my ask,
Right.
and then I can confidently articulate my value proposition.
Precisely. If you're asked about salary expectations early in the process, you can defer the conversation until you have a better understanding of the role and the company's compensation philosophy.
That's a relief. I always feel pressured to give a number right away. But it makes sense to gather more information before jumping into, like, salary negotiations.
Exactly. And if you do receive an offer that's below your expectations, don't be afraid to negotiate.
Negotiation can be intimidating, but I'm starting to see it as a collaboration,
Yeah.
a back and forth, where both parties are aiming for a mutually beneficial outcome.
That's a great way to frame it. It's about finding a compromise that works for everyone involved.
Speaking of tricky conversations, how do you address employment gaps in a way that doesn't raise any red flags?
Honesty and transparency are paramount.
Okay.
Explain the gap concisely without dwelling on it, and then shift the focus to what you gained during that time.
Okay.
Did you take courses? Volunteer? Work on personal projects?
So it's about reframing the gap as like a period of growth and development. I can highlight new skills or perspectives that are relevant to the role I'm interviewing for.
Exactly. It's about showing them you were proactive and using your time productively.
And what about career changes? I'm switching industries, so I'm a little worried about connecting the dots for the interviewer.
When making a career change, it's crucial to articulate your motivations clearly and enthusiastically.
Okay.
Explain why this new direction excites you and how your previous experience, even if it's in a different field, is transferable.
So it's about showing them that this isn't just a random jump,
Right.
but a deliberate step towards a career path
Yeah.
that aligns with my passions and skills.
Precisely. And remember, highlight transferable skills even if they were acquired in a different context.
Okay.
Leadership, problem-solving, communication, these skills are valuable across industries.
This is also insightful. But let's face it, no matter how much you prepare, interviews can still be nerve-wracking. Yeah. Any tips for managing those pre-interview jitters?
One of the most effective ways to combat nerves is through practice.
Okay.
The interview prep book you provided highlighted the power of mock interviews, simulating the real experience with a friend or mentor.
So it's like dress rehearsal for the main event. I can get comfortable with the format, practice my answers, and receive valuable feedback.
Exactly. And don't underestimate the power of self-reflection. Record yourself answering common interview questions. It might feel awkward,
Yeah.
but it allows you to observe your nonverbal cues and refine your delivery.
That's a brilliant tip. I can identify any nervous habits like fidgeting or speaking too quickly and work on projecting more confidence.
Precisely. And on the interview day itself, prioritize self-care. Get a good night's sleep. Eat a nutritious meal and give yourself ample time to prepare so you don't feel rushed or stressed.
So it's about setting myself up for success both mentally and physically. And once I arrive at the interview, I can use those deep breathing techniques and visualization exercises to calm my nerves.
Exactly. It's about getting into a positive mindset and projecting confidence from the moment you walk in the door.
Speaking of first impressions, the source material had a whole section on interview etiquette. It's like table manners for job seekers.
Mhm.
Are there any key etiquette points I should keep in mind?
Punctuality is paramount.
Okay.
Arrive on time, or even a few minutes early to demonstrate respect for the interviewer's time. And while a little small talk can be helpful to break the ice, keep it brief and professional.
So I can comment on the artwork in the lobby,
Yeah.
but maybe not launch into a detailed analysis of the latest football game.
Exactly. It's about striking a balance between being personable and staying focused on the purpose of the interview.
And once the interview begins, active listening is crucial.
Right, absolutely. Listen attentively to the interviewer's questions. Take a moment to gather your thoughts before responding and use the STAR method to structure your answers whenever possible.
The STAR method, my new best friend. I can use it to tell a story, showcase my skills, and make sure I'm answering the question fully.
Precisely. And remember to tailor your answers to the specific company and role. Demonstrate that you've done your research and understand their needs and values.
Okay, I'm taking notes. Research STAR method Taylor. My answers? Got it. And of course, I need to come prepared with insightful questions of my own.
Asking thoughtful questions shows you're engaged and genuinely interested in the opportunity. Use your questions to gather information about the company culture, the team dynamics, or the role's specific challenges.
So I'm not just passively answering their questions. I'm actively gathering information to make an informed decision about whether this is the right fit for me.
Exactly. It's a two-way street. You're evaluating them just as much as they're evaluating you.
This is all gold. But I'm curious, what are some common interview formats I should be prepared for?
We've discussed the traditional one-on-one interview,
Right.
but be prepared for panel interviews where you're interviewed by a group of people simultaneously.
Panel interviews are always intimidating.
Mm.
It feels like I'm under a microscope being scrutinized from all angles.
The key to panel interviews is engagement.
Okay.
Make eye contact with each panelist, address them individually when appropriate, and try to connect with each person on a personal level while maintaining your overall composure.
So it's like I'm juggling multiple conversations at once, but also making sure I'm showcasing my ability to handle pressure and think on my feet.
Exactly. And be prepared for phone interviews, which lack the benefit of visual cues.
Phone interviews are tricky because I can't rely on body language to gauge the interviewer's reactions or build rapport.
Focus on vocal variety, clear articulation, and active listening to convey your enthusiasm and personality through your voice alone.
So it's like I'm a radio personality captivating my audience solely through the power of my voice. What about video interviews? They're becoming the new norm.
For video interviews, create a professional setting, ensure good lighting and sound quality, and dress as you would for an in-person interview. And remember that crucial tip about looking at the camera, not the screen.
Right. Maintaining that virtual eye contact
Yeah.
feels so unnatural at first.
It does take some practice, but it's crucial for creating a sense of connection and engagement through the screen.
Okay.
And be prepared for case interviews common in consulting and finance roles.
Case interviews are a whole other beast. It's like they're testing my ability to think strategically and solve problems under pressure.
Embrace the challenge. Familiarize yourself with common case interview frameworks, practice analyzing business scenarios, and focus on clear communication. Walk them through your thought process, step by step.
So it's not just about finding the right answer.
Right?
It's about demonstrating my problem-solving skills and my ability to articulate my reasoning persuasively.
Exactly. And remember, no matter the format, preparation is key. The more you practice, the more confident you'll feel and the better you'll perform.
Okay, let's talk about what happens after the interview. I always feel lost in that post-interview limbo.
The post-interview phase is crucial. First and foremost, send a thank you note within 24 hours. Reiterate your interest in the role, thank the interviewer for their time, and highlight key points from the conversation.
So it's like the encore to my interview performance, leaving them with a memorable last impression.
Precisely. And respect the timeline they provided. If they said you'd hear back within a week, wait patiently.
I tend to get impatient and want to follow up right away, but I know they can come across as desperate.
If you haven't heard back after the expected time frame, it's okay to send a polite follow-up email. Express your continued interest and inquire about any updates on the hiring process.
So I'm staying top of mind without being pushy.
Exactly. And remember, even if you don't get the job offer, it's not a failure. Each interview is a learning experience.
I'm starting to see the job search as a marathon, not a sprint. Each interview, whether it leads to a job or not, helps me refine my skills and get closer to my ultimate goal.
That's a great mindset to have. And speaking of refinement, let's delve deeper into a topic we touched on earlier, body language.
I'm fascinated by how much our nonverbal cues communicate, even subconsciously.
It's true. Your body language can speak volumes about your confidence, engagement, and professionalism.
So even if I'm saying all the right things, my slouching posture or nervous fidgeting could be sending the wrong message.
Precisely. So let's start with the foundation of confident body language eye contact. Maintaining steady eye contact with the interviewer shows you're listening, engaged, and confident.
Okay, but how much eye contact is too much eye contact? I don't want to stare them down like I'm in a staring contest.
It's about finding a natural balance. Imagine you're having a conversation with a friend. You'd make eye contact, but you wouldn't hold their gaze unwaveringly.
So it's about those natural ebbs and flows of eye contact. And in a panel interview, I should make eye contact with each person on the panel.
Absolutely.
Yep.
You want to acknowledge each panelist and make them feel heard and seen.
Okay, got it. What about posture? I tend to slouch, especially when I'm nervous.
Posture is key. Sit up straight, but avoid being stiff or robotic. Think of it as conveying a sense of presence and alertness without being overly formal.
So it's about finding that sweet spot between relaxed and attentive. And I know I should avoid crossing my arms right.
Cross arms can convey defensiveness or disinterest. Keep your arms open and relaxed to project a more approachable and engaged demeanor.
Okay, open and receptive, got it. And what about hand gestures?
Use hand gestures naturally to emphasize your points, just as you would in a regular conversation, but be mindful of overdoing it. You want to be expressive but not distracting.
So it's finding that balance between being animated and keeping my movements controlled.
Exactly, and never underestimate the power of a genuine smile.
Smiling is contagious. It can make me feel more relaxed and also put the interviewer at ease.
Precisely, smiling can help you project warmth, approachability, and confidence.
Yeah, it really is. It's like a weight off your shoulders, right? To remember that.
It's not the end of the world.
Right, exactly.
What's so fascinating about the job search is that it's not just about like finding a job. It's also about self-discovery and resilience and, honing those essential skills that'll serve you well throughout your entire career.
So I'm becoming like a better communicator, a more strategic thinker,
Yes.
and a master of navigating that often complex world of like professional interactions.
Exactly. And speaking of navigating complexity, one of the sources you shared, that insightful book on interview strategies, had a whole section on handling those tricky interview questions.
Oh, yeah.
The ones that kind of make you freeze up or second guess yourself.
Oh, those dreaded curveball questions.
Yeah.
Like, tell me about a time you failed.
Exactly.
Or what's your biggest weakness? Those questions always throw me off.
The key to handling those tricky questions is to approach them strategically.
Okay.
First, take a deep breath. Remind yourself that the interviewer isn't trying to trick you.
Oh.
They're simply trying to assess your self-awareness,
Yeah.
your problem-solving skills,
Okay.
and your resilience.
So it's not about giving like the perfect answer.
Right.
It's about showing them how I think critically and handle challenges.
Precisely. For questions about weaknesses, choose a weakness that is genuine, but also one that you're actively working on improving.
Okay.
Explain how you've taken steps to address this weakness and turn it into a strength.
So instead of saying like, I'm a perfectionist,
Right.
I can say, well, I sometimes get caught up in the details. So I'm learning to prioritize tasks and delegate effectively. Exactly.
It's about framing it positively and showing that I'm proactive about self-improvement.
Exactly. And for behavioral questions like, tell me about a time you failed. Remember the STAR method.
Okay.
Describe the situation, the task you were facing, the action you took, and the result you achieved. Focus on what you learned from the experience and how you've applied those lessons to future situations.
The STAR method, my crusty companion.
Yes.
It's like a framework for turning even those potentially negative questions into opportunities to showcase my growth and resilience.
Precisely. And remember, if you're ever unsure about how to answer a question, it's always okay to ask for clarification.
Okay.
Repeating the question back to the interviewer or asking for more context can buy you some time to gather your thoughts and ensure you're on the right track.
That's a great tip. It shows that I'm like engaged and actively listening rather than just blurting out the first thing that comes to mind.
Exactly. And throughout the interview, be mindful of your tone and language.
Maintain a professional demeanor, avoid slang or jargon, and be enthusiastic and positive in your responses.
So I'm conveying my professionalism and my passion for the opportunity.
Yes.
And of course, I'll wrap up the interview by thanking the interviewer for their time and reiterating my interest in the role.
A strong closing statement can leave a lasting positive impression.
It's like the final bow after a performance.
Mm-hmm.
I want to leave them with a sense of confidence and enthusiasm.
Precisely. And remember, the interview process is a journey, not a destination.
Hmm.
Each interview, whether it leads to a job offer or not, is an opportunity to learn, grow, and get closer to your ultimate career goals.
This deep dive has been absolutely invaluable. I feel so much more prepared to tackle my next interview with confidence and strategy.
Remember, you have a unique set of skills and experiences to offer. Showcase those strengths, be authentic, and most importantly, believe in yourself.
To all of you listening, remember, you've got this. With the right preparation mindset and a touch of strategic charm, you can absolutely crush your next interview.
And as you embark on this exciting journey, remember to embrace the challenges, celebrate the successes, and never stop learning and growing.
Until next time, happy interviewing.